Beautiful people. I'm Lisa Murray, and here we are for another Facebook Live. I've just been to the beach for the sunset. It was beautiful. You know, it's really interesting. There is this calmness to the surf at the moment. It's flat and it's quiet and gentle, and oh my God, it's lovely. Anyway, on to what we're going to talk about today. Dragons, elementals, and magical earth adventures was what actually people were asking for, in essence. So I'm rather excited to talk about those things because they're some of my favorite topics. Hi, everyone who's joining. Nice to see you there. If you have any questions about our topic or even something randomly related, then of course, by all means, put your questions in the chat. I always like it when there's questions because, you know, I've got this brain that could talk about 90 million things at once, and it's really nice when someone helps me out. So feel free to do that. It just sort of, you know, focuses things. All right, let's see where we're done. Are, there are, there are questions. We're going to find them. Okay, so let's start. Anna Laura asked how to connect with dragons. Now, this is very funny because Anna Laura is already in my dragon hearts, and and there is a video in there for how to connect with your dragon, right? Or your dragons, as the case may be. And I will actually add another. It's funny, I haven't done it yet. I thought about it at the time and then I didn't do it, but I will add another method in there. So I'm not going to necessarily talk about that tonight, but if you're in Dragon Hearts, the party, then you'll get that information well and truly because it's interesting actually. I want to talk about why I called it Dragon Hearts and, you know, the energy of dragons, because a lot of people think dragons are scary monsters, and I see dragons as courageous and pure-hearted. And so I called it Dragon Hearted or Dragon Hearts very deliberately because I wanted people to have that sense of who they truly are. And ultimately, we are all courageous and pure hearted. Sometimes we get, you know, a bit of a messy windscreen, or, you know, there's a bit of sort of stuff in the way of us seeing that. But in essence, we are all that. So, hi everyone who's joining. Nice to see you. Yeah, so this is the magic edition apparently tonight. Dragons, Elementals, Magical Earth Adventures. So please pop your questions in if you've got any, and let's see where we go. So Maruna asked how to invite more magic and elementals into our lives, and Danny was like, yes, yes. So what I would like to say about that is that for me, okay, oh, well, so many places I could start. I was thinking about this on the beach, thinking that's a very big, very broad topic. And what I would say is that when those energies show up for us, and when I say energies, they are beings, okay? Both dragons and of course elementals are all different kinds of beings. So what I find is they show up for me when I'm very in tune with nature, when I'm very peaceful in my heart, when I'm really relaxed, when I'm very present. And that doesn't mean present in an obsessive kind of controlling way, right? It means present in a really gentle, open-hearted, creative way. They also show up quite often when I'm, what's the words? Not being very linear, okay? When I'm not obsessed about time, when I'm really relaxed about where I am, what I'm doing. And even today, you know, this morning, I had quite a night last night. It's really quite weird. I don't know if you're getting flashing on the screen. I keep getting a lot of flashing, like someone's taking a photo. It's a very weird thing. Anyway, let's stick to that. I'm sorry if there is some flashes coming on the screen. I'm not quite sure what's creating it. Facebook Live has been very glitchy lately. So yeah, what else is possible? All right. So when I went up the mountain this morning because, like, for the last 3 nights, the council has been cutting down trees along the motorway, and so all night, all I can hear is machines cutting down trees, and all tree keepers were let's just say last night was the third night in a row, and there was definitely, the tree keepers were quite distressed. It wasn't a very nice night. They woke me up very often, and yeah. So what the first thing I also want to say to you is, just don't expect that it will always be play and fun and joy. They sense they sense the world. They have feelings. They also have a sensory capacity as we, and the real that a lot of the elementals are no longer seen by our eyes. And when I say that, some people can see them, okay? And I see them sometimes energetically. Very rarely do I see them as a form, although that has occurred. And so, gosh, I'm saying a lot of ums tonight. I think there's just a lot of energy because it feels like my whole house is full of tree keepers at the moment. It's really interesting. So I went up to the mountain, and I took them with me actually. I just said, look, come with me for the walk and let's just see, what shows up. And I was just sitting on the mountain for a while. I found a little space where I wasn't going to be interrupted. And I just allowed nature to talk to me. And this is, I think, sometimes how you begin this process of getting really connected with the elementals, because in essence, they left our world. And when I say they left our world, they're here in the unseen, but they left our seen world because we, in essence, mistreated them. Okay, so what you need to do is to really regain their trust. Okay, and that's where the pure heart comes in. And what I notice is the more pure hearted I can be in the moment, so the less worry, the less anxiety, the less, all of the things that are going on right now, the less I can sort of really, or the more I can put that to the side and go, okay, I'm just going to be really present in the moment with, me, the being, whatever other beings wish to show up. So today, when I was sitting up on the mountain, there were little crickets flying around all near me. A little ladybird came and sat on my knee for a while. There were lots of butterflies. And it was just this very beautiful, peaceful, adventure. And I was talking to, there's not many trees on that mountain because it gets a lot of wind. So there were short trees, what looked like dead trees. The dead trees still had their trees with them. And I was talking a little bit with them. And I have some work to do still for the tree keepers to make them feel a little better after what's going on. And I understand that the council needs to create fire breaks. It's more the way they go about it. And this is for all of us. Sometimes we do need to, let's just say, rearrange nature. Okay. But it's the way we go about it that is important. And this is really a big part of how we regain the trust of the nature spirits. Okay. So for those of you who are really wanting to connect with them, you might want to ask them, like just sit in nature and ask them, well, what is it that would allow you to trust me again? Because they, on the whole, don't trust us. And, I've been very grateful over many years to have had some very extraordinary experiences which showed me that they did trust me, like things that just blew my mind, blew my whole reality, in fact, and really woke me up to my lives as a nature spirit, basically. I mean, I've had, many lives as a human being, many lives as all kinds of multidimensional beings, and many lives as nature spirits of types. And so when you start to begin to delve into that kind of stuff and start to acknowledge the truth of who you are as a being, it makes it easier for the nature spirits to connect with you. Okay. And I love what Michelle said about she sees them in trees or stones, like stills of them. Yes, I do too. I see them a lot in like their little faces, and I don't know, that was more a galactic being but yeah, the other day there was a really beautiful photo of that I took at sunrise on the beach, and there was this beautiful galactic being's face right in the photo, and I was like, well, hi, and in fact probably more than one. And even paintings, they show up a lot in my paintings. So really this is about connection with your own heart and connection with what would I say, the presence of the unseen, because we get a little bit uncomfortable with the unseen, or we want to try and define it. And what I notice is that you can't define it. And in fact, I think a lot of my early experiences with the elementals were as a child, when I would just, sometimes I would, and even now, sometimes I will just go to the beach and I'll lie back and I will watch the clouds for hours. And often the dragons will speak to me through the clouds. They've got very clear ways of communicating through the clouds. So there is all kinds of different ways. Another way that is helpful is to play with oracle cards, okay? Because if you get yourself some oracle cards, actually here, one set that I really quite love is these ones, which is the Oracle of the Shapeshifters and by Lucy Cavendish. And they are really beautiful cards, and there's lots of different elementals in those. And the other one that I rather love, well, I love lots of them, okay? But these are just the ones that are right near me right now. Oracle of the Dragon Fae, another one by Lucy. She's quite extraordinary when it comes to the elementals. And so what happens is with those, whilst you may have very different experiences of the different elements than written in the cards, you'll notice using the cards, you more disabilities, basically. Okay. And, for me, I just keep being really open to, well, how would you like to connect with me? It's not about how I would like to connect with them, right? Or what I want from them. I'm very much about, well, how would you like to connect with me? And, if there's a possibility, I'm open to it. And what I notice is by not forcing it, yeah, oh, Michelle, the Dragon Fae ones are really beautiful. They really are beautiful, Yeah, just really gentle, but very powerful, gentle and powerful. And I think, they are two energies that I notice a lot with the dragons, with the elementals in general, is if you can be both gentle and powerful, they are more willing to connect with you, okay? It can't be forcing. It really can't be a forcing. You cannot force a nature spirit to show up with you, okay? You can ask, you can request, you can play, actually, because a lot of them love to play. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you all. And of course, as I'm talking, if there's anything you'd like to ask about, please do, because I'm just saying whatever comes in my way, right? And pretty much whatever they're telling me. So, like fairies, for example, are very, very playful, okay? And so they, and you might also leave out little offerings for them. Like I notice when I go to Ireland, I really love Ireland because of all the magic that's there, right? The earth in Ireland, they haven't fully lost. And Iceland is my other place really got on the list to go to for the same reason that they never fully lost their connection with all the elementals and the nature spirits because in Ireland, for example, if there's a known place for fairies or whatever to where that is a known place for them to live, then they will literally build the road around it. Okay, they're not like most other countries that are just like, you've got to be kidding, you can't see those things, you must be crazy, which is what a lot of people have the point of view. And I find I just love going to Ireland for that really beautiful, beautiful energy that they have there. And yes, oh, look, Bronwyn, she just said, I get from them that we're willing to allow their existence, as in no more denial, they're way more willing to trust you. Absolutely. I mean, how can they show up to you if you're denying them or you don't believe in them or you know, you make it as they're not real and their magic isn't real. Like this is where I look at the tree keepers, for example, and even the tree keeper for the dead tree. I was just asking him this morning, so, how does your job work when the tree isn't alive anymore? And part of it is keeping the wisdom moving, underground. There is a lot that happens underground that we don't acknowledge. And what I feel is very important is that We literally need to just keep asking them and inviting them to connect with us. And don't give up if it doesn't happen the first time, okay? Like and for me, like I don't, like some people get names and they get like a lot of detail with it, whereas I don't tend to get names necessarily, but I get energies very, very clearly. So also what I would say is allow yourself to receive the information the way it comes for you, rather than to fit into the of how people do it, okay? And that was the benefit for me in getting a lot of different parts of oracle cards was I realized that the communication was so different. It's not one right way, right? And we're really good at thinking there's I can't say one right way, and that we need to basically have it be that way or we're not doing it right. We failed. And it's not true. Like I remember the first time the dragons came to me really clearly in the clouds. It was this incredible, beautiful, silent transmission. And it was a full transmission of exactly what they were asking from me. And this is another part of it is we have to be willing to be in service to them, in service to bringing them alive. And when I say that, they are alive on this planet and with this planet, but bringing them alive to other people, bringing them alive into the known world, let me say, because they desire to return, and the dragons have been with me for many years. And it's funny because for a long time I didn't talk about them very much, and of course they talked a lot because they would always come through in my paintings, and and the energies I was being and things like that. But I really, it was a very silent thing for me for a long time. It didn't have a lot of words. And even now, I'm writing some fiction books with them, and some days there's words and some days there's not. So I would ask you, what's your intention in connecting and creating with the dragons and the elementals and the nature spirits? Because they have intentions more clearly than you do. Let's just put it that way. They can recognize a pure heart. They can recognize a black heart, so to speak. And, you have the power to change how you approach them. So I will just invite you to begin to play with that in whatever ways are going to work for you. And don't have too many expectations, okay? Because what are the words? They bring a magic. It's so funny because I can feel them here. And I'm like, okay, what is it you're really wanting to say? What they're saying is they bring, because I had in my title for Magical Earth Adventures. And they're very much like, well, yes, we would like to bring you a lot more of those. And yet, if you put all your expectations there of how this is going to be, it's very difficult for them, or for us, they're saying, to do that. Okay? So what I would say to you is drop all expectations. The times when they have come to me that has been the most magical, I have not even been thinking, would they come? I've not even been thinking about them at all. But what was present was an absolutely no barriers, pure heart, and just a willingness to receive the magic of the universe. Okay? So, just for a moment, I want to talk about Dragon Hearts, the party, because people keep sending me questions on private message, and I thought, well, maybe what I might do is just address a couple of those things. And if there's any other things you'd like to ask about what I've been talking about, please do just pop it in the chat, or any you're sort of wondering about, because usually are just a few words and there's a whole other tangent I can talk about. So, party. It is a container, okay? A beautiful, rich container full of a kind of magic you would like to receive. And so what I mean by that is that, because someone wrote me today, and there's all multi stuff, other stuff better. And I'm like, well, it's going to be whatever you're asking for, okay? And this is a real interesting thing, because when I was drawn to create this, what I was told was you create the container, right? You create the sort of the magical cauldron, so to speak. And then everything that bubbles out of it is by the request of the people that come and play. So that may mean really pragmatic stuff like the creation of your business, in collaboration with the earth and the mag and the elementals, or it might just be straight business intuitive, like how do you create a business intuitively? It can be about the creative process and what you'd like to bring to the world. It can be about what you'd like to lead the world. So many of us have been waiting for this time for such a very, very, very long time, right? And now that it's here, we're a bit like, oh, it's here. And there's this sort of question about, well, which bit do I bring first? How does this work? Where am I going with this? So part of it is about the clarity and what do you need to bring now and what can come later and all that kind of thing. And I also want to just talk a little bit about there are sponsorship places. If money is the thing that is stopping you and you are really excited about coming and playing, then please connect on the party page, so lisamurray.co/party. There is a space for sponsorship. And at the moment, there is one space available for a sponsored place. We have very generous people who have been sponsoring places. I am so grateful because I really put that up wondering. And Sally, of course you could hear me talking about dragons, yeah. And it's really interesting because I put the sponsorship piece up just knowing that it was the thing to do at this particular time. And then I've just been so grateful for the people who've been willing to sponsor. And of course, I am also sponsoring a place for every 10 places, that are paid. So there is a lot of accessibility for this. And it's for the people not here to bring up something very special. Okay, so if that is you and it's you, go check it out. And it can have elements, it can have playful elements. We have all kinds of conversations, and I'll talk more about those another day. But yeah, there's lots of good conversations going on already. All right, back to magic. I want to talk about magical earth adventures a little bit, actually, because there's a lot of them available. Okay, and that is they're available whether you are inside or outside, because I think often we think, okay, that I can have a connection with the earth is if I go outside, and it's not true. And some of you will have heard me tell a story of years and years ago. I went to Norway and I was staying with a really dear friend, and maybe the first time I had gone to Norway, actually, or the second, no, the first. I think it was the first. And it was really interesting because I didn't realize, but she was giving me her bed to sleep in. I was like, no, you can't do that. Like, there's a mattress over there in that corner. I can just sleep on that. And she was quite determined that I would sleep in her bed. I'm like, why can't I sleep over there on the mattress? And she wouldn't really answer me. And then a couple of days later, after we sort of, got to know each other a bit more and had quite an extraordinary dragon conversation with her daughter, actually, she said to me, well, there's a reason you can't sleep over there. I'm like, what is it? Because I was feeling a bit bad, that she's sort of sleeping in the least comfortable place and I had her bed. And what she said to me was, well, that's where all the nature spirits live. So her daughter is very magical, and all the nature spirits, she had this whole collection of nature spirits living in that corner. And so, of course, A, I wanted to sleep in that corner, and of course, B, that's why they were saying, no, you can't. So, this is where the things show up, and you cannot predict them, you don't know. But what I will say is that if you think you cannot connect, because some people maybe, some kind of home, I don't use the word lockdown, it's really not a nice word, but some kind of place where you have to be at home a lot right now, and it may not be easy to get a direct nature connection. You can literally invite the nature spirits to play with you, and I see them come play too through. And years ago, there used to be this little, what do you call them? Willy Wagtail, who used to come and do flybys past my window when it thought I was working too hard. And then it would, when I'd go outside, it would walk around the garden with me and it would play with me, right? And I was so aware that, yes, it was the bird, and it was like part of that nature, that real interaction with the spirits. So they, once we are pure hearted enough, not expecting, not wanting, not needing from them, they will connect with us in very beautiful, wonderful ways, right? And for those of you who are a bit like really, what I would say is disconnected from your magic, go and find books. And if you join the personal conversations with the Earth group, there's lots of conversations in there about different books that are really useful. Um, and in fact, we're going to do a bit of an adventure in there as soon as we get to 2,500 people, which is about 30 odd people away. So and if you want that link, it's on my profile. But if you search personal conversations with the Earth, you'll find it. But there is a lot of really great books where you can find all sorts of different ways of talking with the nature spirits as well. One of my favorites is Meeting Fairies, which, oh, it's not near me right now. Yeah, but it's a really beautiful book that talks about the early Findhorn days, and how Findhorn grew to be what it was with the assistance of the nature spirits, and that's a very beautiful example of absolute co-creation. And actually, someone has sent me a link in the personal conversations with the Earth group. Someone put a link in there that Findhorn at the moment has a lot of their programs on free watching. You can watch them for free. So if that interests you and you want to know a little bit more about how they created the magic they did, then by all means go search that out. You can discover some more stuff, right? Okay, yeah, thanks Belinda for loving the artwork. It's funny, I only had 2 paintings up, and then I've got a whole kitchen table set up at the moment. I'm just waiting on a bit more supplies to arrive, and I feel like the artwork is going somewhere. I don't know where right now, but it just is very much like, just pick me and we'll see what happens. And it's, to me, the creativity and nature spirits are very connected, because it's the same deal. You can't force a result with, art or creativity, and you can't solve spirits. It's just wonderful being. And if you're willing to be rather than do, and I think this slowdown, so to speak, for want of a better word, for all of us is such an invitation to have more connection and to really create the connection that will allow us to receive. Nature is extremely to offer its magic, and we don't allow ourselves to receive it because we're so busy. We don't notice the magic. The magic is often right in front of us, and yet we're so busy, blah, 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 in our heads, we don't actually allow the space to perceive and receive it. So more stillness, more kindness, more laughter, all of those things will allow you to enjoy the presence and the beauty of these beings in new ways. The perceiving of them is something that shows how it shows up. You can't force that either. I do sometimes, though, like in my meditation, I will invite them to come and say hello and to play. And I'm not a big, I'm more of a walking meditator than a lying down meditator. But sometimes I notice that there's an energy available. It's kind of like I can feel it in the air, so to speak. And when I can feel and sense that energy, then I'm literally like, okay, is there something you'd like to communicate with me? And if it's yes to that, then I will just go lie down and see what comes. Basically, this whole conversation is there's no one right way, okay? And there's many, many, many different ways, and it just is about allowing connect, allowing yourself to be, allowing yourself to receive, allowing it to show up in ways that maybe you don't expect. Like I can say, in all the different experiences I've had that there's never really been two the same. And in fact, it's very difficult to recreate them. Although you can be the energy of something. Like, you know, time I climbed a Swiss mountain, I've talked about this on other lives with a friend of mine. She, she was like, climb, and I'm like, sure, you know, dodgy knee and all. But we had walking stocks and I did pretty well on the whole. And it was really interesting because the peace on this mountain, because there were like 17 cows and 3 people besides us. So peace on this mountain was absolutely off the charts. Like, it was like you wished you could just take that with you forever. And what I've noticed is like I can't go backwards to the peace, but what I can do is ask the mountain to send its peace to me, and it does, right? And so this is for any experience you've ever had, any experience you've ever had that was wondrous and amazing for you in terms of nature, the earth, elementals, dragons, whatever, you know, unicorns, whatever. And, you know, I have been writing the little postcards from the dragons, and thank you for those of you who are loving those too. They've been so fun to just have those little conversations, and I will do some more. I just, that like first just like, you know, came out really quickly. Dragons were like, here, let's do these. And so, but I know there's more. I just haven't got to writing them out yet. So they will come soon. More postcards. And yeah, there's always energies that you experienced previously. Them to come to you now in this moment. So what will happen is they will bring you what you require right now. Because energy is not static, you know. And so it's a wonderful thing to actually have that connection. You know, I have that connection with cities, I have it with mountains, I have it with oceans, I have it with all kinds of things. And yeah, Bronwyn, like that's so cool that you can see the fairies, you know. Really beautiful. And I think that for those of us who are willing, we will see them more and more and more, right? Like there's definitely something where I see different energies at times and I'm like, oh, I can see that that's just becoming more and more available. And, you know, when I was a kid, I could definitely see things that I just didn't realize it wasn't there for everybody, you know. And I think that for all of us, we have magic within us. Okay, I want to say that all of us have magic within us, and it depends if you're willing to let it out or if you want to keep it here because people will think you're crazy. Like, you know, I'm getting one of the things that I've promised myself during this sort of lockdown is that I will have more courage. So I will do things that maybe I wouldn't do normally because they are available and I see them. So today, for example, there was a media call out for Are You a Tree Hugger? And I looked at it and I was giggling. I was, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to respond to that, you know? And they're like more mainstream media than normal. Now, who knows where it will go? But what was interesting was it brought up, oh, I'm going to tell the whole world I'm a tree hugger. And of course, I love the trees and I hug the trees and I talk to the trees all the time. And I was watching myself and thinking, well, it's so ridiculous that I wouldn't just say that. You know, why would I not do that? So I think that for all of us who do have connection and do have, what would I say? Do have experiences, what has been normal in the past, it is time for us to start expressing those, you know, more, you know, and I think this is why the personal conversations with the Earth Group came about too, because people were so excited to have a safe space to express them. And I would encourage those of you who really know what you know to also start to express them out in what I would, well, I don't want to call it normal world because, you know, what's normal? But out in the world that has been less magical so far. Let's call it that, right? Less magical so far world. Because if you're willing to begin to bring your magic into that world, then it can have more magic, right? And more of us that bring our magic into the world that so far hasn't really acknowledged magic, then it's going to have to start acknowledging it and to that. And now it's just one, right? It is. And so do a world where we can talk about the nature spirits and the elementals, and we can see them and we can work with them and co-create with them. Or do we want a world where it's all about the rules of the government, And I just look at it and go, well, I know which one I want. And so my work and my vision and all my energy is getting put towards the world that I desire, right? And that I feel is very important right now, getting clear on what is the future you desire, and are you willing to show up as that future now? Because as we do that, that's when the real magic shows up, actually. And it's funny because we all say we want more magic. And, sometimes I think what we want is, well, we just want bars delivered by our front door, And I have asked the dragon about that, and that's not their only job, Let's just put it that way. It's not their only job. They're a lot more magical than just look after gold. Okay. So often we have these very limited perceptions of the magic that's available to us. And when I said I myself totally, and I really believe that as the more we step into and the more we respect the magic that comes to us and that we are open to, the more magic can show up. Like literally we are undoing, what will I say? We are undoing normal so that magic can again be normal. Right? We're old normal so that the new normal can include so much of beauty and magic of the earth that has been lost to us because of our disrespect, So a lot of this starts with respect and kindness and generosity and presence and a willingness to not force it, a willingness to be grateful for what does come. Because it's really easy to be impatient and to want everything to show up, just like, if you go to Coles and you get everything you want in 10 minutes. It doesn't work like that because we've had thousands and thousands and thousands of years where we have been. And so really do the right thing in many, many different ways. And you will know what the right thing is. It might be just care of the land, care of the plants that you've got in your house, or, it might be whatever that is that you do, whatever it is that your heart calls you to do, that place to start. How you do things. When I was housing a while back now, one of the last house sits I did was in Sandgate, and they have all along the waterfront like a big path with a wall for the tide, so the tide doesn't come over. And people had made all these little fairy houses for a long, quite. Oh, that's funny. Little kids would be walking along there and see the fairy houses, and of course, how many fairies would be absolutely delighted, So we can think these really whimsical creatures or whimsical ideas, are a waste of time, or we can actually acknowledge the beauty and the joy and the magic that they bring, not only to us as we create them, to those who see them afterwards when we have courage to put them into the world. So I think maybe that's the idea I would like to leave you with, that this idea of starting to acknowledge the magic that you are, starting to acknowledge the magic that you have connected with, and then allowing that to show you and lead you in terms of how we collectively bring more magic into the world. Because I don't know about you, but I'm finding the idea of hard work pretty damn boring. And my idea is the more the magic can show up. You know, the more we can actually have everything we require in the earth and respect. Oh yes, Don, that park. I've been to the sculpture park in Oslo. It is incredible, and anyone who hasn't, you definitely take his link there and go and Google it. It's quite incredible. That park actually has an incredible amount of magic. The layout, serious good work, you know. Um, yeah, really just really beautiful park. I think Norway has a lot of magic actually as well. I've definitely experienced beautiful, beautiful things there. So thank you for reminding me of that actually, because that park is and those sculptures. That's a very beautiful visionary. So yeah, thanks. That's cool. Saying, yes, aliveness. You know, your magic. Bring it alive. Bring it alive. Bring it alive. And that's really a lot of what the Dragon Heart Party is for. Is to really acknowledge our aliveness, find all the different ways that we can bring it alive. So, thank you all for all your comments and insights and magic that you've brought to our code tonight. If you want to join the Dragon Hearts, we are open for playing already, and I do have one sponsorship place available currently. So, and you truly would love to do that, then please go and apply for sponsorship. Possible it and off the Dragon Hearts. Where is that? lisamurray.co/party is where the party's going on. And yeah, thank you, Maria, actually, for asking for this conversation because it was think about because it's there. I'm very glad. Thanks, everyone.